Procrastination is the most expensive invisible cost in business today.
Our next guest is sick and tired of it, though, and he has a solution.
All right, Rory Vaden is the author of this book, Take the Stairs, a New York Times bestseller.
Success is never owned. Success is only rented. And the rent is due every day, every day, every day.
Rory Vaden is co-founder of Brand Builders Group and the author of the New York Times bestseller Take the Stairs, a book that has been translated into 11 languages. Rory is the world's leading expert on the psychology of overcoming procrastination, increasing productivity, and teaching people how to create a results-driven reputation and influential personal brand. Rory is a frequent guest on national television, and his insights are featured regularly in media outlets such as The Wall Street Journal, Fast Company, Fortune, Forbes, CNN, Inc., and the New York Times. Entrepreneur and Inc. magazines both recently named Rory as one of the world's top leadership thinkers.
There is a new type of procrastination. This one is the one that affects all of you. And we invented a term for this as well. We coined this phrase, priority dilution. But it has nothing to do with being lazy or apathetic or disengaged. You see, priority dilution is the chronic overachiever's procrastination. Priority dilution affects those of us who are the movers and shakers, those of us who are the managers, those of us who are the leaders, the do-gooders, the checklisters, the people who make things happen. And yet it is the same net result that we go through our day, and at the end of the day, when we leave the office, we realize that our most significant priorities are left unchecked, not out of our laziness, but because we allow our attention, either consciously or unconsciously, to shift to less important, but perhaps more urgent tasks. And for a leader, this is somebody whose life is characterized as a constant state of interruption, always putting out fires. I can be in the office long hours, right? I can be working all day long. I can be moving really fast on a lot of conference calls, answering a lot of emails, pushing a lot of paper, doing all of these things. And yet when I get to the end of the day, if I look back on what I accomplished with that day, if I am honest with myself, I will realize that I was nothing more than busy, just being busy. And distraction is a dangerously deceptive saboteur of our goals. Because this is a cost that nobody ever talks about, right? It's not like we have a line item on our P&L where we're managing the procrastination expense. We don't sit down and create a budget for procrastination, and yet that cost is very, very real. And so the question becomes, right, what is the solution? Being raised by a single mother who sold Mary Kay, I grew up around women from the time that I was very young who were constantly teaching me all of the different principles of success. It also means that I know more about makeup than I do about cars. I mean, guys, you won't appreciate this, but ladies, right? Every single morning you wake up and you stand in front of that mirror and it goes wash, toner, moisturizer, foundation, wrinkle-free eye cream, base eyeshadow, dark eyeshadow, blush, eyeliner, mascara, lip liner, and lipstick. Notice how all the women are laughing and clapping. They're like, oh, he's kind of funny. We like him. There's this whole row of guys up here looking at me like, you know, this guy was a high school cheerleader. But my mom used to have the phrase, right? And she said, success comes down to the choices that you make. And here's a choice that I just want you to think about to yourself for a second. The last time that you were walking along, and let's say that you were in a mall or an airport or something, and you came up to a set of escalators and some stairs, did you take the stairs? Which one do you think most people choose? The one thing that every single successful person has in common is that successful people have formed the habit of doing things they know they should be doing even when they don't feel like doing them. In other words, success in anything is not about taking the escalator. Success is about taking the stairs.
Rory's second book, Procrastinate on Purpose: 5 Permissions to Multiply Your Time, is also a national bestseller. And his TED Talk, now with millions of views, has quickly spread around the world.
When storms come in Colorado, they almost always kind of brew from the west. And then they head out to the east. And what cows do is very natural. Cows have this innate sense that a storm is coming. And so when the storm comes, the cows, they sort of get together and they decide to run away from the storm. So they start moving to the east, but the only problem is that if you know anything about cows, you know they're not real fast. And so the storm catches them pretty quickly. And instead of stopping, because they don't know any better, they continue to try to outrun the storm. And by trying to outrun the storm, they actually run with the storm, maximizing the amount of pain and frustration they experience from that storm. Isn't that stupid? I've got news for you. We do it all the time. How many times in your life have you known that there was a difficult conversation that you needed to have? How many times in your life was there a bad habit that you knew you needed to break? That is the escalator mentality. That is the world that most of us live in. And here's what buffalo do. It's very unique, especially in the animal kingdom. Buffalo wait for the storm to cross right over the crest of the peak of the mountaintop. And as the storm comes over the ridge, buffalo turn and they charge directly into the storm. And they run at the storm, and by running at the storm, they run straight through it, minimizing the amount of time and the amount of pain and frustration that they experience from that storm. That is the same way that is representative of how successful people think. Ultra performers have realized is a key insight that we always pay a price. We always pay a price. We either pay the price now, today, or we will pay it later with interest. Procrastination and indulgence are really nothing more than creditors that charge us interest. Success is never owned. Success is only rented. And the rent is due every day. Success is never owned, it's rented, and the rent is due every day. Take out the word success and put in for it whatever matters to you most in your life. Financial security is never owned, it's rented, and the rent is due every day. Being in great physical health is never owned, it's rented, and the rent is due every day. A great business is never owned, it's rented, and the rent is due every day. A happy marriage is never owned, it's rented, and the rent is due every day. The rent is higher for some of you than others on that last one, depending on who you married. But the rent axiom is true, that success is never owned, it's rented, and the rent is due every day. And I know that can strike you as bad news sometimes, but I promise it's the most empowering truth of all. Because when you embrace this idea, this mentality of take the stairs, and you embrace this idea that we're not making temporary changes, but permanent ones, that I'm going to pay the rent every day, that I'm going to put my pride and my self-esteem in my work habits. We stop looking for the escalator, and we start embracing the things that will take us to the next level. We start doing the things that we know we should be doing, and we realize that life is not about these huge, grandiose decisions, but about the small, seemingly insignificant, nearly invisible choices that we make each and every day. So the next time that you are in front of a set of escalators and some stairs. Take the stairs, because success means doing things we don't want to do. Thank you very much.